Peter Parker, still grappling with the tragic loss of Uncle Ben, finds himself in a tough spot. He and Aunt May are struggling to make ends meet. Peter, feeling the weight of responsibility, thinks about dropping out to work full-time. But Aunt May insists that he stays in school. Peter comes up with another plan. He decides to perform more shows as Spider-Man to bring in some extra cash. But earning money isn't as straightforward as Peter thought it would be. To protect his secret identity, he asks for his payment check to be made out to Spider-Man. However, without any identification, he can't cash the check. Meanwhile, J. Jonah Jameson, the editor-in-chief of the Daily Bugle, is painting a negative picture of Spider-Man in his newspaper. He calls Spider-Man a menace and encourages the public to admire real heroes like his son, John Jameson, who is an astronaut. Peter can't help but wonder why other heroes, like the Fantastic Four, don't face the same kind of public scrutiny. As Peter's financial problems worsen, he becomes determined to find a job. One day, while job hunting, he sees Aunt May pawning her jewelry to pay the bills. This sight breaks his heart. He blames Jameson for their financial troubles, but remains determined not to give up. One day, Peter finds himself at the launch of John Jameson's space flight. The launch goes well initially, but soon after, a technical malfunction sends the capsule into an erratic orbit. The situation is critical, and the space technicians are unable to correct the capsule's course. Watching the crisis unfold, Peter sees an opportunity to help. As Spider-Man, he makes his way to the control center. They have a spare guidance unit, but no means to deliver it to the capsule. Spider-Man steps in, stating confidently that he can do it. Jameson, who is also present, is skeptical and dismisses Spider-Man as a publicity-seeking phony. Undeterred, Spider-Man heads to a nearby field where he commandeers a plane and a pilot to bring him up to the capsule. The capsule is moving too fast to catch, so they'll have to get close enough for Spider-Man to make the jump. With a leap of faith, Spider-Man uses his web shooters to attach himself to the capsule. Now, he just has to attach the missing unit in time. Spider-Man manages to attach the missing unit. Inside the capsule, John Jameson regains control and pulls the parachute, landing safely back on Earth. The capsule lands, and Peter sneaks off before anyone else can get there. He assumes that his problems with Jameson will be over now that he has saved his son. But when he opens the Daily Bugle, he is faced with a shocking headline. Jameson wants Spider-Man arrested. He accuses Spider-Man of sabotaging the capsule to steal the spotlight from his son. The rumor spreads like wildfire, and Spider-Man becomes a public menace. Even Aunt May expresses hope that Spider-Man is caught and punished. In the second part of the story, Spider-Man is still struggling to pay the bills and comes up with the brilliant idea to join the Fantastic Four. He attempts to sneak into their private headquarters, hoping to impress them with his abilities. Spider-Man sneaks in through a window, but the Fantastic Four immediately try to trap him. A battle ensues as they try to figure out what Spider-Man is doing there. The battle rages on until Reed Richards, the leader of the Fantastic Four, breaks it up. Spider-Man reveals his intentions to join the Fantastic Four, believing he's worth their top salary. They laugh and explain they are a non-profit organization. The story then shifts to the Chameleon, a master of disguise, who plans to steal missile defense plans and frames Spider-Man for the crime. At his hideout, he sees a news bulletin about Spider-Man's visit to the Fantastic Four. He concludes that Spider-Man must be facing financial troubles, making him the perfect fall guy for his scheme. The Chameleon broadcasts a message using a special frequency that only Spider-Man can hear. He tells Spider-Man to meet him on the roof of the Lark building at 10, promising it will be very profitable for him. Peter, desperate for money, agrees to meet. The Chameleon sneaks into the building beforehand, dons a Spider-Man disguise, and demands the person on duty give him the plans. The Chameleon, still dressed as Spider-Man, makes a break for it to the roof. He has a helicopter waiting, and he leaves just before the real Spider-Man arrives. Spider-Man lands on the roof and is immediately met by the police, who tell him to freeze. Spider-Man sprays the cops with his cement webbing and escapes. Peter remembers the helicopter he saw and uses his spider sense to track down the Chameleon. He uses his webs to slingshot himself forward and create a makeshift parachute that will get him to a dock where he can take a boat the rest of the way. He gets to the submarine before the helicopter can make it and shuts the hatch closed with his webbing. He then turns his attention to the helicopter. He uses a web to pull himself up and then rips the door off with his bare hands. Spider-Man brings the Chameleon to the police, but the Chameleon drops a smoke bomb and escapes. He uses a police disguise to blend in with the cops while they look for him. Peter once again uses his spider senses to detect the Chameleon's presence among the cops. The Chameleon turns off the lights, but Spider-Man is able to detect and catch him anyway. In a last-ditch effort, The Chameleon yells out that Spider-Man is actually the Chameleon in disguise. The cops believe him and grab Peter. In a fit of rage, Peter breaks free of the cops, telling himself they can deal with the Chameleon themselves. Luckily, the cops notice the Chameleon's torn uniform and the Spider-Man suit underneath, leading to his arrest. Peter walks the streets at night, sobbing, feeling that nothing he does seems to turn out right. He wishes he never got his powers. The Fantastic Four have also been following Spider-Man's journey and appear to be impressed by the strength of our young hero. And that wraps up The Amazing Spider-Man #1. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Thanks for joining me, and stay tuned for more.